So the thing I thought we were most interested to start with is probably not a lot of people know how you actually got into lifting. I mean, strongman's an obscure sport, powerlifting's the same. It's not something most people just fall into.
Well, it's very simple. I went to America as a kid, and I came back after about 9 months, and I just looked like an American, just average. So back in Iceland, I was very fat. So I thought to myself, I have to fix this, and I started going to the gym. And I originally just wanted to do track and field and be able to run faster, but I just got better at lifting weights.
And so it was from there. How old were you when you went to America?
15.
So you only started when you were about 16 then?
Yeah, started training at 16. 16 turning 17. First time I competed, I was 16.
Do you remember some of your numbers?
Yeah, I remember my first ever competition in powerlifting. I did 60 kilogram bench press, 60 or 80 kilogram squat, and 205 kilogram deadlift.
Yeah, it's quite a discrepancy.
Yeah, well, I'd only been training for about 3 weeks, and I didn't know how to squat, and I had very, very weak shoulders.
So after what, about 3 weeks you were pulling 205?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really...
But I trained deadlift 3 times a week, you see. I just went to the gym maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays I just trained deadlift.
I like that.
And at first I wasn't that good at it. I mean, for my own body weight I wasn't that good. But I went up to 180, and I failed 180. But then in competition it was easy, and I ended up pulling 205.
How did you sort of transition from just going to the gym to powerlifting? Was there a coach there, or?
Well, everybody that was training in that gym was an athlete of some sort. You know, they weren't necessarily doing powerlifting, but I mean the powerlifting exercises are just basics for static strength. So if you're into any sport, these 3 movements, you have to do them anyway.
So, and then did you push and find your own powerlifting competition, or was that thrust on you?
No, they were just, I mean, I kind of just competed in everything I could compete in.
And then what happened after that competition? What was the next step?
I wanted to do Iceland's Strongest Man, because I think my brother participated, and then in 2003 he won Iceland's Strongest Man. And at that time I'd been training for some time. I wanted to do the same. I want to enter these strongman competitions, because you know, everybody that was either a thrower or you know, into Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting was doing that.
So did you get into strongman pretty early then?
Yeah, to be fair, I was quite eager to compete, and I was told I wasn't allowed, and so I had to wait, and in the end I just showed up, and I said, look, I can do this, and the promoter said, well, if you can load the first Atlas stone or Magnusson stone, you're in. So I tried that and failed. So I had to wait another year. But
how come you wouldn't let you compete? Too young?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
How heavy was that stone? Do you remember, or just big?
No, I probably wasn't even that heavy. I was just not that good.
So Because I've got sort of two different things. Obviously, you went on to do great things in both powerlifting and strongman. Do you run those sort of congruently at the same time, or?
No. Well, I haven't really done powerlifting for many years now. I mean, I train the exercises for strength, but I don't train powerlifting specifically. I used to, and I got quite good at it, and I just train now for kind of my own amusement and just to train towards my next goal, whatever it is. At the moment, I've got this Strongman competition coming. There are only 5 events, and I want to do as good as I can in that one. And after that, I've got my eyes on maybe World Strongest Man again if I can qualify. Other than that, I'm just having fun training.
I like it. So will you be doing any more Giants Live comps this year, or?
I hope so. I haven't entered any other ones, but this is the first one.
Brilliant.
First one this year.
So talk us through going back to sort of like the earlier days. So you eventually went and got Iceland's Strongest Man. Did you ever win that?
Yeah, I think I won Iceland's Strongest Man 3 times. Well, it got a little bit funny because at some point there were 2 Iceland's Strongest Man. There was Iceland's Strongest Man and IFSA Iceland's Strongest Man. So I kind of switched in between. I won IFSA Iceland's Strongest Man as well, but it was a strange time in Iceland. You know, no one knew how to qualify for World Strongest Man. No one really knew what to do, and when I won, I didn't really know where to go from there. So I just went to Scotland and did some Highland Games.
Awesome. How was Highland Games?
Oh, that was absolutely brilliant, because you go there and you have no clue. You have no clue what the events are. You just learn them on the spot, and you do okay.
I can imagine Highland Games would really suit you.
Well, I wasn't bad at them, but there were many events where I wasn't very good, because many of the Highland Games athletes are throwers that have specialized in it, and competing against them in these throwing events, you're never going to place podium, but you can do fairly well. But you just have to trust that overall you can beat some of them. Would
something like that, Highland Games, be something you'd want to push later, or is it just more fun?
Yeah, maybe if I get invited. I seem to always say yes when I get invited.
That's awesome. Do you think, as well, you were saying before about difficulty of not knowing how to qualify for World's Strongest Man? Was that a big problem before? Because it seems to have got slightly better.
Yeah, well, it's a lot better now. I mean, now with official strongman, anybody can really qualify for a competition, and it leads to somewhere. Whereas before, you just entered the strongman competition, and you had no idea what was going to happen after that.
Were you just sort of waiting for, I don't know, did you get scouted for it, or was it more who you knew, or?
Well, when I went to do the Highland Games, I actually got my invite, and I declined it.
And invite to Worlds?
Yeah, and I did that for a few years in a row actually.
Why did you decline?
Just wasn't interested in that. I just wanted to do powerlifting, and training was mainly for fun for me. And the main problem back then was that I kind of realized that the guys that were doing it, they were becoming quite specialized in it. You know, they had all the events, you know, in the garages or training facilities or whatnot. And in Iceland, you know, you kind of had to shovel through a lot of snow to get to where they kept those Magnusson stones. So it just wasn't comfortable. I was just lazy.
Get that. So, talk to us about powerlifting. Did you eventually get a coach? Did you start taking them seriously?
Oh, powerlifting! I kind of always had a coach. I was lucky that way. And I owe my success in powerlifting to that coach. And I didn't know how good he was until later. But he's probably one of the best coaches you can have. And he immediately looked at me and he said, "Oh, I reckon that you, with your structure, can probably pull 420 kilograms in deadlift." And I thought, "Oh, okay, is that a lot?" He said, "Well, no one's done 400 in Iceland." And I said, "Well, okay, well, there's a goal then." And I thought, okay, I've just done 205 in competition, so it's only double that.
And how long did it take before you, obviously surpassed that?
Ooh, see, I thought I was going to do it fairly quickly, but it took a lot longer than I expected. It took about 3.5 years. And I had lots of failures and lots of obstacles I had to work through, but I had a good coach and I had people to learn from, and I got the chance to travel and see some top athletes and learn from them as well, and that gave me an advantage, I think.
So you're obviously famed mostly for your deadlift.
Yeah.
But there's 2 other lifts. How are you in those?
To be fair, my best ever total in IPF is 1,090 kilograms, and I got that with, I think that was 410 kilogram deadlift, 405 kilogram squat, and 275 kilogram bench press.
You say a 405 squat?
Yes.
Was that suit, wraps, or?
I believe it was in a suit. Yeah, it was in a suit.
Oh. That's a great squat though.
It's okay. I never really, went to a failure in squat. I always just kept it safe.
Do you think that's best, or?
Well, funny enough, I've always played it safe in squat, and last year I got quite badly injured doing a squat event in World Man.
Yeah. Was that the down onto the sort of?
Yeah, it was squats for reps. It wasn't even that heavy. After the first rep, I thought I was going to do about 10, and then in the second one, something just gave up.
Talk to us about that, 'cause that bar looks awful, so thick, and then it doesn't. I mean, actually squatting with an axle can be quite nice, but it doesn't rotate either, does it? And then those big out there sort of drums on the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't find the equipment bad or anything. It was just I wasn't prepared for it probably, and you're never stronger than your weakest link, and my quadricep just tore.
How much was that? The weight on the bar?
I don't know.
Do you usually know the competitions, or you just forgotten?
Well, it doesn't really matter when you go to these strongman competitions, because it's never an implement that's the same as in the gym. It's kind of irrelevant. The strongest guy is going to win anyway.
So just to go back again, sorry I know we're jumping all over the shop, but with powerlifting, you got that total, and then was that your last final total that you got, or do you still sort of dabble around in it?
Well, I found it so difficult to get in and out of the suit that I put the squat suit on, and then I didn't want to take it off because it was very tight. So I just wore it during the bench press also, and then I did the deadlift in the same suit as well. And after that, I just decided, why bother put these suits on? I'd rather just compete without them.
Right. And then is that when you pushed on for that, obviously famous deadlift?
I don't know. I mean, I had this thing where my friend he said to me that I didn't really have the world record in deadlift. I just had the best deadlift in IPF. See, I didn't know anything else than IPF. And then he told me actually there's this guy called Andy Bolton. He's deadlifted like 420 kilograms. I was like, that's 10 kilograms more. So I thought to myself, let's go for that. I think in the meanwhile he deadlifted 425 or 422 or whatever it was. So my focus was 426. So I just trained in the gym until I could lift 426, and then I had to do the next competition.
Is that all I can remember from it is you're in an MHP t-shirt?
I can't remember.
Is that the one where you broke the world record?
Oh no, that was before. I competed against Andy Bolton in Finland, and I started off with 426, which was a world record. I think he went to 427, and then I'd been there since like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just in the evening. I was very hungry, so I went to 440 because I wanted to go home, and I thought to myself, the way I saw him do 427, he could do 430, but definitely not 440. He went for 441 and failed.
Awesome.
And then it was kind of just a waiting game. I knew he would get it back, but I just waited for him to do it. Took 2 years, if I remember correctly.
Awesome. And then obviously now with sort of, do you think, because obviously now you're wearing a suit using straps,
Yeah.
does that make much, do you think that to you makes that much of a difference? Or do you think it could be?
I think it can do. I mean, for me, if I put a suit on, I definitely find it easier to squat. But I've never tried it to failure. But in a deadlift, it just seems to be in the way.
Wow. And not a lot of people think that.
No. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say that these suits they can't help you, but I think the way I train and the way I lift, I focus so much on my posture and I focus so much on my form, so to speak, way before I start climbing up and get stronger in one rep. And I think, you know, I'd have to train in the suit for months to be able to utilize the suit. So 6 weeks out when I put the suit, it's just in my way.
Do you think, are you gonna, actually that's something we've not even discussed, are you gonna try and go for a new record or a new PB or anything like that in the deadlift in the future, or is it just something you leave out?
Well, I don't know. I might. I mean, I've always done it like this. I mean, I just keep on training, and then you know, when I get hungry again, I just go for it. I tried some new stuff, and I tried to do it maybe a little bit too comfortable last time, and it just didn't work out.
Do you think it's important doing what you said, sort of resting until you really want it rather than pushing it just for the sake of pushing it?
I think the most important thing is just to do it the way you want to do it. I mean, the way I train, I don't really train like a powerlifter. You have to know your own body. I don't put on muscle mass easily, so I have to like really focus on putting on muscle mass for a period of time, and then just use the next 8 weeks after that to try gain some strength. And I have to like switch in between phases of training quite a lot, and that suited me really well, and it's made me be able to be quite strong all year round. And it never takes me a long time to get into my, you know, my strongest shape again. But I'm finding it a bit difficult figuring out how to get good at this strongman thing.
With there's so many variables with the different events.
Yeah.
And interesting. So how are you approaching that then?
Well, I just train strongman, and I do exactly the same thing. I take the events and I break each event into like sections of movement. Like for instance, this keg toss, it's got nothing to do with explosive power if you can't use it. You can be really explosive and nothing happens on it, because you have to be quite flexible on it as well. So I train my flexibility specifically for that event, and then I go for it. And funnily enough, I just went for those kegs for the first time last weekend, and they all flew over. So at first attempt, it seems to be working. Now for events like the shoulder presses, etc., I just try to emulate and as many movements as possible through a really short workout. And then in between doing the events and doing these strength exercises, I also do quite a lot of exercise to prevent injury. Like I will train my biceps, not for size, but I will train my biceps to take quite a continuous impact. So every week now for the past 16 weeks or so, or 15 weeks, I've been training my bicep to be able to withstand going through all the training and going through the events on the day. We'll just have to see if it works out.